An old lion was tortured to death by a giraffe, but then the unbelievable happened. The morning air carried the scent of defeat long before Tao emerged from the thornbush thicket. His ribs pressed against his golden coat like prison bars, each breath a labored reminder of the 3 unsuccessful weeks that had stretched behind him. The old lion's amber eyes, once fierce enough to scatter hyena clans, now held the hollow desperation of a king whose kingdom was slipping away with every passing dawn. At 14 years old, Tao had outlived most of his kind, but survival had exacted its price in worn teeth, stiffened joints, and a pride that had long since moved on without their aging patriarch. The acacia savanna stretched endlessly before him, painted in the soft ochre hues of early light. Somewhere in the distance, a francolin called its morning alarm, unaware that Africa's most legendary hunter was reduced to stalking ground squirrels and scavenging vulture scraps. Tao's massive paws moved with deliberate care across the sun-cracked earth, each step calculated to preserve what little energy remained in his failing body. The drought had been merciless this season, driving prey animals to distant waterholes and leaving the old lion to wander territories he once ruled with absolute authority. Then he saw her, a towering giraffe cow standing motionless beside a cluster of fever trees, her elegant neck curved downward in an unmistakable posture of protection. At her feet, barely visible through the morning shadows, something small and wet moved against the ground. Tao's predatory instincts sparked to life despite his exhaustion. A newborn calf, perhaps only hours old, struggling to find its footing in a world that had never known mercy for the vulnerable. The mother giraffe's dark eyes fixed on Tao the moment he began his approach. Her massive head swayed gently from side to side, a warning as ancient as the continent itself. But hunger had made Tao bold beyond reason, and desperation had stripped away the caution that might have saved him. He moved closer, his powerful shoulders rolling beneath his thinning coat, every muscle coiled with a memory of countless successful hunts. The giraffe's response was swift and devastating. Her front hooves, each one larger than Tao's head, struck out with precision that defied her graceful appearance. The first blow caught the lion across his left shoulder, spinning him sideways and sending him tumbling into the red dust. Before he could recover, her massive legs were everywhere, pounding, striking, defending with a maternal fury that transformed the elegant creature into something terrifyingly powerful. Tao rolled desperately away from each crushing blow, his roars echoing across the empty savanna like thunder without rain. But age had stolen his speed, and hunger had weakened his reflexes. The giraffe's hooves found their mark again and again, each impact driving him further from the helpless calf that represented his only hope for survival. Blood darkened the earth where he fell, his breath coming in harsh gasps that spoke of internal damage no amount of rest could heal. When the assault finally ended, Tao lay crumpled beneath the spreading canopy of an ancient acacia tree. The mother giraffe stood over him for long moments, her sides heaving with exertion, her calf now steady on trembling legs beside her. Then, satisfied that the threat had passed, she guided her newborn deeper into the thornland, leaving the old lion to face whatever remained of his story alone. The silence that followed was deeper than the night itself. Tao's chest rose and fell in irregular patterns, each breath a struggle against the weight of his injuries and the crushing realization that his body had finally betrayed him. The acacia's ancient branches cast shifting shadows across his battered form as the hours crawled past, marked only by the distant calls of nocturnal hunters and the soft whisper of wind through dry grass. Blood had dried in dark patches along his golden coat, and his left eye remained swollen shut from the giraffe's devastating assault. Dawn arrived with the gentle persistence of all African mornings, painting the horizon in shades of amber and rose that had witnessed countless beginnings and endings across the vast savanna. The old lion had not moved since darkness fell, his massive frame pressed against the red earth like a fallen monument to a bygone era. His breathing had grown more labored during the night, each exhale carrying the sound of something fundamental breaking down inside his weathered body. Dr. Sarah Chen spotted him first through her field binoculars, a golden shape that didn't belong beneath the familiar acacia where her research team had been monitoring giraffe behavior for the past 18 months. She lowered the glasses slowly, her heart recognizing what her mind was reluctant to accept. After 3 years of tracking Tao's movements through the reserve, documenting his gradual decline from apex predator to solitary wanderer, she had always known this moment would come. but knowing and witnessing were separated by a chasm of emotion that no amount of scientific training could bridge. The Land Rover moved across the uneven terrain with careful respect for the gravity of the scene ahead. Marcus, the veteran wildlife veterinarian, sat in the passenger seat with his emergency kit already prepared, though his experienced eye told him they were likely too late for intervention. Behind them, Rebecca operated the radio with quiet efficiency, coordinating with the reserve headquarters while maintaining the professional composure that barely concealed her personal investment in the old lion's story. When they stopped 30 meters away, Tao's amber eyes tracked their movement with surprising awareness. Despite his broken condition, something vital still burned behind that ancient gaze. Not the fierce fire of his prime years, but a quieter flame that spoke of dignity preserved even in defeat. His ears twitched at the sound of car doors closing, and his nostrils flared slightly as familiar human scents reached him on the morning breeze. Sarah approached on foot with the slow, deliberate movements that had earned trust from countless wild animals over her career. Each step was measured, respectful, allowing Tao the space to react as his instincts demanded. The old lion watched her advance without alarm, his great head resting against the earth but his eyes alert and calculating. There was no fear in his expression, only a weary recognition of humans who had observed him from a distance but never threatened his sovereignty. "Easy, old man," Sarah whispered, her voice barely audible above the morning birdsong. Tao's tail moved once against the dust, not in agitation but in acknowledgement. Something in that small gesture told Sarah that while the old king's body was failing, his spirit remained unbroken, waiting for whatever mercy the morning might bring. Marcus knelt beside Tao with the practiced efficiency of someone who had witnessed too many endings, his hands moving gently along the old lion's ribcage to assess the internal damage. The veterinarian's expression remained professionally neutral, but Sarah caught the almost imperceptible shake of his head that spoke volumes about what his examination had revealed. 3 ribs were likely broken, and the labored breathing suggested possible punctured lung tissue, injuries that would challenge even a young lion in peak condition. For Tao, weakened by age and starvation, the prognosis carried the weight of an inevitable conclusion. Rebecca prepared the emergency medical kit with quiet determination, laying out pain medication and wound dressing materials on a sterile cloth. The morning sun climbed higher, casting harsh light on the scene that made Tao's injuries appear even more severe against his golden coat. His breathing had grown increasingly shallow during their examination, each exhale accompanied by a soft sound that spoke of fluid where it shouldn't be. The research team worked with the knowledge that they were likely providing comfort rather than cure, offering dignity to a creature who had ruled these lands with magnificent authority for over a decade. Then, through the shimmering heat waves that danced across the savannah, a familiar silhouette emerged from the thornland. The mother giraffe moved with deliberate steps toward the acacia tree, her newborn calf walking steadily beside her on legs that had found their strength during the night. Sarah's breath caught in her throat as she recognized the same protective female who had delivered Tao's devastating defeat just hours earlier. Every instinct told her to retreat, to give the massive herbivore the space she demanded, but something in the giraffe's approach seemed different, less aggressive, more purposeful. The giraffe stopped 20 meters away, her dark eyes moving between the wounded lion and the humans who knelt beside him. Her calf pressed close against her front legs, instinctively seeking protection, but the mother showed no signs of the violent defensive behavior that had characterized their earlier encounter. Instead, she stood in watchful stillness, her elegant neck swaying gently as she assessed the scene with what appeared to be careful consideration. Marcus continued his work, administering a mild sedative to ease Tao's obvious discomfort, while Sarah remained perfectly still, unwilling to disturb whatever delicate balance had been established. The giraffe's presence created an unusual tension, not the explosive threat of a protective mother, but something more complex, as if she were bearing witness to consequences she had not intended. Her large eyes fixed on Tao's labored form, and her ears moved forward in an expression that suggested awareness rather than aggression. Minutes passed in extraordinary silence, broken only by Tao's difficult breathing and the soft sounds of medical care being administered with infinite gentleness. The giraffe began to move closer, each step measured and deliberate, until she stood directly over the group. Her massive shadow fell across Tao's body, providing merciful relief from the climbing heat. The calf remained pressed against her legs, but neither mother nor offspring showed signs of distress at the human's presence. "She's allowing this," Marcus whispered, his voice filled with wonder as he continued treating wounds that might heal given time and care. The old lion's eyes opened to focus on the towering figure above him. There was no fear in his gaze, no challenge, only a weary acceptance of circumstances beyond his control. The giraffe lowered her great head slightly, not in threat but in acknowledgement of the broken warrior beneath her protection. For several heartbeats, predator and prey existed in perfect stillness, connected by something deeper than the harsh mathematics of survival. As the afternoon shadows began to lengthen, the mother giraffe guided her calf away with the same quiet grace with which she had arrived. The acacia tree settled back into its ancient stillness, holding space for healing.